The Tuning Fork, setting the tone for cultural activism through weekly encounters with cultural activists worldwide. Live on ICAI, Institute for Cultural Activism International. We're live on Facebook and possibly live on YouTube as well. And want to thank you all for being part of the engaged cultural activism by being, here in this space with us. And this program is going to be recorded. Our producer, Emily Harris, on the screen, well, she's the lady in red. Emily's managing our production process, and we'll also be mounting the recording of this on our website and up on YouTube and Vimeo for total access, as well as on Facebook. So, there's Marriott Sheldon coming in. Hi, Marriott. Marriott has been doing some experiments in the forest herself, North Carolina. So I think it's going to be very interesting, this dynamic. Hi, Marriott. You can turn your microphone on, Marriott, for the time being, if you want to say hello.
Hi, John. Hi, Emily. Hi, Alan.
Hi.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
I think Alan has some ideas about how to create a little intervention, disruption, and what we used to call trouble. But in the old days, art was inherently a bit troublesome for most conventional ways of living and seeing and thinking and behaving. So cultural activism is kind of like institutionalizing, these interventions. And we're kind of wild about doing this around the world and connecting with an international network so that we can all be in touch with each other and coordinate activities and interventions and interactivity together. So, and Cheryl, are you here in New York now? You in New York?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm in the city right now.
You're in the city, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there's Sally Harris in Minnesota. Hi, Sally. So you see, people will come in according to their, lifestyles and situations, circumstances, manners of self-expression, sensibilities that just come in when they want to. When they want to. Ron, do you mind me asking where you are?
I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Oh, wonderful.
A suburb of Boston.
Oh, we've heard of Boston, but Cambridge, never heard of Cambridge.
Never heard of Cambridge. I'm just across the river.
Well, it's nice to feel that there's some sort of scholastic, we call it espionage, perhaps scholastic espionage on your part, we hope.
There is.
All right.
There is. And I can talk to you about that at another time. I don't want to take time away from Alan.
Oh, are you his lawyer too?
No, we've never met.
Well, we apologize for this inconvenient meeting. And there's Sally. Sally's in the dining room with the break front. Is that what it's called? Break front? What do you call that? Yeah. In Afton, Minnesota, on the Stagecoach Trail.
Correct.
And we were just there last week. That's Emily's mom down there. So she's actually the producer of our producer.
Okay, nice to meet you, all of you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
That's the second broadcast. Last week we had this wonderful sort of debut launching of this program. And for me personally, it's like this program is like a tuning fork. that we stay in this space, creating a certain, context and a certain sensation, introducing innovative thoughts and innovations and initiatives. So Alan's initiative is quite striking, quite unique. I just want to contextualize a little bit, if you don't mind, Alan, that when I came out of this glass house that I was living in for 10 days with 10,000 plants, breathing once a minute, Alan, when I came out, I instantaneously felt that the trees all around me were part of my body. They were breathing interactively with me, the trees, because I was in this immersive contemplative space, breathing with 10,000 plants for 10 days. And it was such an extraordinary, almost like an archetypal revelation, this connection with these creatures, these beings, the trees, the foliage. Why is it, Alan, that this work is so important to you? Why are you passionate about this, and how did that begin?
I don't hear you anymore.
What was the last thing you heard?
I don't know. It's what my connection is unstable. I don't understand. But you were describing this connection that you had in with the plants, and I think I haven't heard the end of it. But
at the end of the question, Alan, at the end of my comment, I asked you, why are you so passionate about this work?
I think I see myself as a classic painter. I'm like the good boy who read masters of history and who check how they did to invent new art and to involve new ideas of the time. And I realized all of them, most of them in history, always refer to the artist as someone who look at nature with contemporary eyes, with the eyes of his time, meaning that each generation has its knowledge, each generation improve the quantity of knowledge, and then an artist of his time will, with this knowledge, look at nature again and try to reach some meaning and some spiritual meaning for the society. So it's between science and spiritual always, because you have the scientific aspect about looking at nature, observing nature, and then you have the spiritual dialogue and the poetry to search around these discoveries.
So if I understand correctly, and I believe I do, how is it that the contemporary artist looking at nature with contemporary eyes adds aesthetic elements to the activity of expression?
It's true that when you look at what's art today, and what society is today, you really feel something as total. It's like the painting is not only the visual message, there is a totality, and we are looking for more totality and to embrace more reality and more knowledge together in one art piece. So we are looking as artists to reach this totality, and at some point the forest for me was a great meaning of this contemporary totality, because as a painter there is no more forest to paint. The situation of the landscape in the world is devastated, so I love to paint landscapes, so I'm planting them, I'm stimulating them, I'm inviting the world to recreate this landscape. as a painting action, as a painting, and then I became politic, and then I became performer, and then I became everything I should be or do. But my purpose really is painting purpose. Is I want to have the landscape back. The modern society have killed the painter, but they have also killed the landscape. So I'm calling the world to have this landscape back and to give it back to the forest. So this is how I try a soil. I collaborate with bioartists. I see the polymatic aspect of art to involve all type of knowledge in the practice.
Okay, did you say polymatic?
Yes.
Please explain.
The polymathy is really a name that is related to Leonardo da Vinci. So it's really this vision. Poly means plural, mathematics, so it's pluri-science. So it's a systemic thought, indeed. The systemic thought is more recent. It's something that is more a century ago, but polymathy is the ancestor of systemic thought, because it's like you included all your knowledge together to make the painting. You're not just smell, you're not just look, you're not just understand, you're not just walk in the landscape to paint it. You included all the knowledge. So biology, if you need biology for a forest, if you need to understand economy for a forest, if you need to understand law, if you need to understand politics, if you need to understand aesthetic, architecture, sculpture, artistry, because the vision we have of the forest is the vision of that art have given to us. Because as human, we understand nature only through the spectrum of art or the spectrum of science. We have forget to look nature as it is.
Alan, a man that was a friend of mine, I think you know his name, Joseph Beuys. He told me once that he started a political party for animals.
Yeah.
Have you done something on that kind of sort of context area, or what have you?
Yeah, I'm working on this field to give to nature, to forest some land. As a work of art, that forest, I propose that forest and nature become arts themselves. So it implied some legal action, and so for now, this is a PhD I'm working on. The idea is to collaborate with law and to innovate in law art. Lawyers, yeah. It's a kind of bio art, if you want. It's like you, instead of working with a laboratory of biologists, you work with lawyers, and you build contract law to help owners. When the owners will buy you an artwork, they will give the forest a space.
Okay.
Protected, but this is a presentation, so I will explain the detail how it works in the presentation, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Now, let me just pause for a moment.
Yeah.
This is a sort of conceptual art moment.
Yeah, but I don't want to be conceptual. No, yeah, it's very important that it's not conceptual.
No. This now, what I'm saying.
Okay.
Moment. I have to take a pause. Emily, how are we doing? That was it. That was the conceptual art part.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. We just do a little check on the process. It's like process art. It's a process Zoom.
Yeah.
Just to kind of wake up, bang, something, right? Because you're taking us into certainly new channels of vision and thinking.
I think this type of thinking haven't been listened a long time ago, but I think it's not new. I don't think I'm that innovative. I prefer to see myself as a classic artist, very basic painter who have a pure artistic logic. I think Joseph Beuys was someone like this. I think when you give it all, you are like this, and it's just you have to take the time to read the masters of history. You have to take the time to study biology. You have to take the time to new experts and to try to use knowledge of everybody. The painting is an exercise. It's a complicated exercise. I don't think I'm innovative. I think I'm announcing something that is under the rock and that nobody sees, but that it's something that exists and that can be done more easily, more clearly. I feel more as a traductor or as an ambassador or someone who's translating something instead of creating or announcing. For a start, I think I'm putting the light on it more than creating it. So I'm trying to explore everything that what for a start could be, from the performance with the flag, from the land itself, from the painting, from every aspect. As a little good boy, I say I am. Like, I want to explore every aspect of what this total art could be. And if in the way it creates a weapon for activism, I'm happy. If in the way it's open creativity for soil, or it improves knowledge or creating knowledge or spiritual content, I'm really happy. But my really objective is spiritual, is to broke this vision of the man in the world that we have, the perspective that we have of the man or the woman, the human body, regarding the life, regarding nature, this anthropocentrism. I'm fighting against it. And this is a painting job. We are here for optic. So perspective is an optical question. And I'm telling to the audience, look, the plants is talking. The plants is an artist. I'm representing the world of the plants as an artist. I'm just an ambassador, and I'm trying to do my best to representing it.
Now, in the 60s, someone we know, her name was Carolee Schneemann. Carolee thought of her body as a painting tool. She used her body like a paintbrush, she said.
Yes.
And there are different sort of examples of artists who inhabit the agency of, let's say, painting, or inhabit the agency of even a living cinema. You and I both came to this idea of total art. Total art, when, I mean, I think it's a very specific
yes.
energy, a very specific way of relating to expression. Total art, in your context, you become part of the painting. The landscape is part of the painting. Working with the lawyers is part of the painting.
Yes.
When Christo made big installations, he had to interact with thousands of people, sometimes in communities, to find agreement and collaboration.
Yeah.
For him, that was very exciting. That process was a total art process.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, yes. In Monchique and Saint Louis, we are in the village, in the residence I'm working. It's a kind of the same situation where we deal with owners, and we give them trees. We invite them to know knowledge, to share knowledge about the soil or compost system. So, and yes, involving community, involving. There is an artist, a forest artist in Portugal. She's working on involving this community of artists who work in forest art field, whether from poetry or whether from photography or from forest itself. There is this type of now you have to build the studio to make the painting, but you also have to build the landscape you want to paint. So total art for me, it's more with Wagner that start like this opera thing, and then after it become after with the Big Brother era, with the Instagram thing, and the Van Gogh life has inspired, since the artist is an hero, having his life as an art of the work of art is really associated to the vision of a spiritual person who is having a path, a specific path. So he's always judged about this path, rather if how he uses money, or whether what he's doing, what he's making, what type of society he is proposing. This judgment arrives with history. So it's a matter of being sincere about what you do in your lifetime and trying to do the best.
Now, Alan, here we've been discussing very much theoretical, philosophical things, and I want to go a little bit further with that. Two things that I want to cover. One is when you talk about the spiritual engagement with nature, you refer to it as nature as a kind of nourishment, spiritual nourishment.
I'm again a really good boy, as a good, like the little painter, because you have so many references about that. I feel that it's true. Like personally, I have my own experience with nature when I was a child. I felt this connection, and I practice this connection a lot. But this is not what I want to say here. This is what I want to say here. It's very classic for a painter to feel that. The classes of the Bauhaus in Germany of Paul Klee were starting like this, where the painter is a messenger of nature. And if you go to Egypt, if you go to any kind of culture, the image maker has a connection with nature, because he makes the image of nature to show to the other ones. So he know how to look the nature, to paint a cow, to paint. So it's really the foundation of the artist to be connected to nature. And if we go to total, then yes, this connection might be total, or shall be total, or it might happen that a lot of artists will embrace this connection as a total thing, because it's an evolution, a natural evolution. I really see forest art as a natural evolution of art that is kind of healing. Because we are in this moment of the society where we are maybe looking for art that is healing, rather art that is pushing us down as a critique. Maybe we have to also give some side of solution while criticizing the whole spiritual crisis. So yeah, I feel it's a natural evolution. We are just adding something. Yes, on the top of all this academic and all this theoretical history of painting, from Leonardo da Vinci to even Appel. When Appel started to paint the blue sky in the Hellenic Empire, he looked at the sky and he painted in blue for the first time, and the blue of the sky was just meaning the blue of the sky at this moment. And this is a revolution in the frieze history, because before the blue was a specific color for a symbolic religious path, and the sky was rarely painted blue in the walls. So the just stupid idea of painting the sky as it is a revolution for humanity in art. So we always have to remember this basic role of Academy of Art. And I will show later a quote from Leonardo da Vinci itself, who is reminding us that the master of all artists is the nature. It's not Leonardo da Vinci is not someone who know perfectly Leonardo da Vinci and always quoting Leonardo without quoting nature itself won't be a master for Leonardo, won't be an artist that understands his job.
But,
So
you know,
yeah, it's a natural evolution of.
On a social level, you seem to take some accountability for the status of nature, for the condition of the forest. You seem to appear to be accountable and taking some responsibility.
It's radicalism. It's I'm just an artist, so I'm radicalist. It's now I'm working for the plants. I have a message from nature. If I am the messenger of nature, then here I go. I am an ambassador of the forest. So yeah, my specialty is the big land. I'm working to give space, because Andy Rowell was saying himself that painting is a war of space, because he was invading the home of everybody. I'm invading the land of everybody now. And I'm proposing a sculpture that is alive, and that is a forest. And with this little trick, I'm giving a space to the forest itself, and I'm doing that for them.
Right. In a tactile way.
Yeah, I'm trying to be diplomat, so that is why I'm going the space of art, and that is why I'm a cute artist. You know, I'm a little painter, having reference of the master of history of the white world, even more, and I'm just showing the text. The text I'm showing the masters, and all the masters are telling me to look at nature with my time and with my issues. So then this is what I'm doing, and then I'm telling you what I'm doing, and that's it.
You know,
and I yeah.
When we go into nature as contemplatives or looking for refuge, when we go into nature, we're often finding ourselves in a breathtaking status we call breathtaking, where there are no more words. There's total engagement in that moment, in that nature. And in that moment, we can feel completely connected. And
this connection you feel, for me, it's intelligent sharing. It's like we have so much input in our head that intelligence is only conscious of a one body, that we lose that this intelligence is shareable. And the animals are conscious about you. The plants are conscious about you. The concept of conscious have been too much in our mind as autofocus, that we don't. Sometimes we have this experience of of shared consciousness, and we don't really believe, and we don't really explore this, or we find it amazing, and we have emotions about it. But yeah, this is something we should go on it more and explore it more, even at scientific level, because now they're talking about conscious in the galaxy. They're talking, also the relationship with plants. When now we talk about neurology of plants, neurology of vegetal plants intelligence, we talk about. So now there is a very big break in our history of the Occidental society. It's a fundamental break. It's the end of Aristotle's classification of souls, where we are superior and we are the one that are conscious. And when we go in nature, whether with water, whether with the stones, I know it's kind of a bit of this hippie, kind of creepy talk that some people may think, but now with vibration, with science, with the knowledge of scientific knowledge of vibration, scientific observations, now we are not sure this conscience is only humanocentric, and now the science itself think. So this is why the indigenous knowledge of the world is coming back to the city, because they always have said that at the beginning. So it's very interesting how the civilization have destroyed the indigenous culture to impose this humanocentric vision of the world, and now it's collapsing. The science itself is discovering that the indigenous were right. So it's a bit a tricky situation for now, because the foundation of our society was Aristotle, the classification of soul. It was the Vatican. The Vatican took this philosophy since 500 years ago, and they totally developed. The Occidental society is totally oriented around this theory. But now, since 50 years, discoveries of science, discoveries of economy, discoveries of the global culture have totally collapsed this belief. So this is an artistic revolution, I guess, in itself. It's a new path for a lot of possibilities.
Alan,
Yeah.
just a personal question. It's also a kind of, technical question, but it's a personal technical question. When you work with these materials, are you having these kinds of sudden connections with the nature? You say you're a messenger. Yeah. How often do you have those experiences?
Different type of moment. When I am in the landscape, looking for the places or visiting forest, I have a simple practice that is collecting seeds. So, like a painter will draw, I always collect seeds, and I always study. I have a very big connection with seeds. What I like about seeds is the intelligence is in the design, because even if you collect them very carefully, you put them in your pocket, even if, it's not, you always lose someone. There's always one that fall, there's always one that wall away, someone that will stick, one that will not go in your pocket. And it's funny, because each time there's one that I lose, I know the seed I've jumped. It's like I have a baby cat and the baby cat jump out, and in my practice with seeds, I know this is happening. And sometimes I'm laughing, like the baby cat, no, don't go here, you will never grow there, come with me. And I put them somewhere else. And sometimes we try tricky thing. Oh, maybe you're gonna grow there, and in the city. So I do wild seeding. Like I spread, like in the cities or in abandoned place, I do like this little thing, but as a very common practice. Then in the studio, I'm working in type with moss and with glass to study mushrooms and to study how I can make a sculpture with life matter. And it's very delicate, because I don't want to kill the organism, and so it's a long time investigation, and I really see that I feel sometimes the plants is a understanding. When you work really in an artistic matter or with soil, when it's compost installation, you have the insects that come with you, and sometimes you feel the plant understand. Or when you save an animal, a bee, for instance, a bee in the window, at some point the bee understand that you are helping her. But the most thing I have with the plants is this. And then after I did some therapy with shamanism. I use the shamanism for my personal therapy, like for my family and inner personal therapy. And it was very rich to consult the plants as much as I would consult a psy. And I really feel that I was reaching someone else with another knowledge, with another type of knowledge. And it was really useful for me, and it completes perfectly the Occidental talks I had on the other side with a normal psychotherapist. So I have different type of experience with nature. I love the sea splash of the wave, and each time I have a sea splash of the wave, I feel the sea is alive and it's touching me. I talk with the sea, every river, every sea, every lake. I talk with them like a person. So I did, yeah, and nobody never asked me this. So yeah, I feel like I can talk a lot about this. But I live in a house 3 years to develop this concept, and it was very abandoned house, not abandoned, very cute, but with simple, no switch, no electricity, and there were only a river, a fountain giving the water, and there were animals living around the house. I had geckos in the wall, and the geckos were eating the insects were coming in, and they were becoming my friend, because I was scared about all the insects, flying insects around the house. And I started to study the insects to know which one is a carnivore, which one is only for bees, and this one. And I had this beautiful place where the water was falling, where I could collect my own water, but it was also the place for them to collect. And I had this beautiful moment one day where I drink water, and there were all the insects of the type of insects. So you have the big, horrible ones, the I don't know the English names, like the big Vespa, the bee, the fly, the horse mosquito, you know, this big, very ugly one. And they were all together around the river, around the little lake that I have, like in the savannah in Africa, you know, when you see this lion drinking. And I was also taking, and I was scared of them, and they let me drink with them. Yeah. We all know the water is a safe space, right? We all know we're all there to drink, and this is not now we're gonna fight together. And and they understand what I was doing, and I understand what they were doing, and it's just a simple moment like this you can have.
Now, Alan,
yeah.
I think we feel this sort of contagion, you know, from you, because it's so natural. It's so natural. So. Why don't you take us into, what would you say is the most important sort of project or method that you're engaged with right now that you want us to know about? For example, and we can run some images, or if you like, behind when you describe. You have a PDF. We have a couple of films.
Yeah, I can present you how it works for the sculpture. So yeah, I have a little presentation to make. So you want me to share the PDF now? This is what you...
Yes, and I also want to just tell everyone that we have another guest here, Miguel Costa. Hello, Miguel. Alan is going to begin sharing a screen now and narrating one of his projects and the status of his project. So there we go. That's the first image. And so many of my friends and Emily's friends wanted to be here today, but we're so happy that we're recording this, Alan, because this is going to be very exciting and inspiring and nourishing for many people. Thank you.
I think Miguel Costa is my supervisor from the PhD, no?
Can you repeat that?
I think Miguel Costa is the supervisor of my PhD with the University of Porto, maybe?
Oh.
Yes.
Hola, Miguel. Hola.
Oh, hello.
Miguel, can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
Miguel, why did you come here today?
Well, first of all, I was invited by Alan, and sorry, I'm a bit late. And in second, because as a supervisor, and we have been talking about the work, and of course I want to go deep in the work of Alan Todd. So that's why I'm here today. I know a part of his work, but of course he works on this every day, and I can't miss this kind of opportunities to know more and to have also the opportunity to talk more with him about his work, but in the context of the PhD, of the research.
Uh-huh. And what department are you, engaged in there? What department? What university? What institution?
Okay, I'm in the University of Porto. I'm teaching in the Master of Art and Design for the Public Space. I am an architect. I have a PhD in landscape architecture and urban ecology, and I mostly use the tools from the art practice to work in urban landscape environments.
Well, I'm really grateful that you're here and appreciate very much your comments. And perhaps you will have a question for Alan afterwards. Now we're going to allow the presentation to continue. Alan's work,
Perfect.
please pursue. Thank you.
Hello, you listen. You yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, we have talked a lot about already about what the relationship with art and nature. So this is a proposition to see. It's an introduction about what forest art could be. So it's the first picture is a photography of Sintra in Portugal, which is a forest that have been planted by man. It was just a rock, and different men, kings and millionaires have planted a botanical park in the 19th century. And there is the part with the park, but there is also a part more wild where trees have grown. And this is a very inspiration for me, because we can plant forest and it can be considered as a work of art. This park is considered as a UNESCO patrimony. It's considered by history as a museum. You have a park of botanical park that is around Pena that have the same legal value than the castle itself. So it's very interesting also to understand the legal protection of this area and the beauty. So it's like the culture, its influence, stories. There's stories that have been written there, like the Count of the Grimm novels have been. There's a house in Sintra where no, it's not Grimm, it's Andersen, I think. Maybe I'm saying, but one of the two, I always confuse them. But there is some, I think it's Andersen who have write some novels there. It was very inspiring. There's this house in Quinta de Galera, the garden is an opera set where you walk in the garden and you have you can recognize different setup of opera. And this place was always a healing place for me in Portugal when I was living in Lisbon, because I could really, and this is a picture I took, I feel there is this presence, and I feel there's a kind of a call there of this work from the past, from people of the past. It's not only nature, there's a presence here. So I don't know, oh yeah, this is how it works. So if this is I will not be so much didactic, so I will talk about the flag at the end. So, hello, my name is Alan Todd and I'm a forest artist. As an ambassador, I'm here to make the forest a work of art, to be seen as a cultural artifact, rising up our new global era. From the theoretical point of view, I'm a painter of the classical question in art. I do optic and total art, and this is very important for me. Forest art produced then, forest, fertile soil, organic installation, a live sculpture, a live story, a lot of visual production, conference and collective performance, to be always seen as painting. The forest art aesthetic of a new state of mind where plant intelligence is challenging our perception of reality, of beauty, of life. So basically, this is a statement. And this statement is some echo to what we have talked a bit before about this classic relationship with the artist and nature. And what I'm trying to do at the PhD at the level of the academy is really to remind the academy that, okay, I might use different references. I will use maybe biology references, maybe I will use shamanic references, indigenous references. I'll maybe use more references out of the spectrum of contemporary art or art history, but my justification is that the master is nature. And this is a lot of master of art history, I've said that before. So this is why I do this type of, for me, the references we are using are very important. Where do we take the knowledge? So yeah, in the perspective of a total art then, as we want to be transcendent, not only making a total performance as Wagner, we also want the artist experimenting the body, it's the body experimenting to be a forest artist. So I need to be an ambassador, I need to be a wild man, I need to go with the hippies, to go in the eco-village, to go in the activist. But I also need to do something in the land at first. So it's coming from me and the land. It's a relationship with me and the land. And in the way, I will try to be as much as polymatic as I can. So I see forest art in the middle of intersections of different type of knowledge and different type of content. So there is a very objective one that is made of science, of flows, of objectivity, where art is already touching with bioart or law art, where ecology and biology or medicine could be also touching. And you have another one that is more emotional. One is more collective, the art, the culture, and the aesthetic, and the one is more introspective, the world of indigenous, the world of magic and emotions. For this now, I've a bit evaluated from this. I feel we have two worlds down. We have the world of the artist of the city, and we have the world of the artist of the forest. And somehow those two worlds are joining with the time we are living now. It's a kind of a new soul for a new culture that is happening, because we are in a global situation now. Aristotle is very challenged by the new discoveries of science. Oh, I have a wonderful book I want to show. I find it's a book from the UNESCO. So I don't know if you can read it. It's a book from the UNESCO, and it's a book that is studying the knowledge of indigenous people to have information about ecosystem and climate change. So basically now the science, they need indigenous people to understand what they haven't understood for so long. So it's really a new soil that is happening now, because we are all on the same table of the reality, and we are all together on the reality. So it's a new knowledge for our economy, and it's a fundamental new discovery of a new intelligence. We were waiting the extraterrestrials to come, a new outside intelligence to come, but the plants and the soil creature were there since the beginning, talking to us, manipulating us, slaving us to addiction of all kind, and we've been ignoring them all this time. And this is maybe why we are a bit collapsing now.
So Ellen, may I ask you just a quick question?
Yes.
Are you suggesting that we can resensitize ourselves to the communication with nature? Resensitize?
Yes, I think it's just, I think when you change perspective, this is a job of artists, this is a job of painting, of perspective. If you change from perspective, then you see the reality differently and you can adapt better. I think the problem is when you have a philosophy like Aristotle telling you since you are 3 years old, in every object you see, you touch, in every word, in every exchange you have with any kind of people, telling you that you are the master of the world as a human and you control all species on earth, and all species, you can have a power on them to kill them and destroy them. Then of course you cannot believe this creature are intelligent. You're not made and prepared to believe that. But if suddenly you discover their intelligence, and then suddenly if you look at them, because you are invited to look at them, then you will realize that there were a big mistake of everybody there. And it's okay to do collective mistakes. Humanity have believed a lot of collective mistakes for many time. And so this is why we have discoveries. So it's a new discovery. I mean, this all what is discovering biology now, it's changing the reality of the world maybe forever. I mean, we just have as artists to embrace this totality and to live and make some proposition regarding to it. This picture is very funny because it's really what happened with the American society, which is Occidental very, very, very much. So we are in the bio art lab of the SVA of New York, and the project was to bring their setup of
wait. This is at the School of Visual Arts in New York?
Yes.
And it's a bio what?
It's a bio art lab. It's from Susanna Hacker. She's directing this bio art lab. It's a very nice team. It's a school. It's a department of SVA of New York.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry. And then they make the fact it's a festival. It's a festival organized by Cultivamos Cultura, the residents in Portugal by Marta Menezes and Manuela Lopes, and they organize this international festival of art and science and technology, and they collaborate with the SVA for this show. And so this piece was presented during this festival in 2018. And it's a little installation made of soil and seeds of the Maryland. So for me it was a kind of a visit of the soil Maryland in a dry version, because I didn't want to kill a plant, so it's just seeds and soil and their mushroom. Basically it's a ready to start forest. You can put that soil somewhere and it will grow as the rain and the light come. And so the idea is that if the gallery collapses, if everything collapses, the forest is already inside to spread in the art space. And it was very funny because of the protocol of the Occidental, very aseptic building society of New York, the city of New York. You have to clean. You cannot bring bugs from the forest in the city. You cannot bring bugs and animals from the forest in the lab. It's forbidden. So I had to be sure so that the soil, I've made different steps in boxes where I could carefully take the big bugs out and free them. And so I had to make different steps for the more small, and I spare the worms, and it was like a kind of a work with boxes and to separate all the lives matter, but it was not enough for them. So they spread around the piece, the line that is in the table, it's poison. So they make a perimeter and so it was the time of the migrants, 2018. It was the crisis of the wall of Trump. So it was also a bit of a joke with the Trump wall. It's like, the nature cannot go in the art space, and it's forbidden to go in it by a line of poison in order to respect the law, in order to respect the regulation that is forbidden us to bring any life matter in this bio art lab. So they can create life, they can bring a seed and plant it, they can create a life form, but they cannot bring natural from the forest. So it was a bit strange. The same idea is then after you put this installation in the land, and then it can protect and it can feed the soil to spread the forest, to spread the tree to grow. You can also look for the aesthetic of this soil connection in the BioArt lab itself, with a more, let's say, type of contemporary visual of BioArt. The idea is really that the sculpture is alive. So if the body is painting, as you suggest, if the body is a sculpture, the sculpture is alive. So the forest is made, the sculpture is made of wood, of soil, of clay, which are natural material for sculpture, except that this time the wood is alive, the plant is alive. But basically it's a sculpture that represents a forest, made of forest, but with a specific zone, a specific limit, as any sculpture. And the limit make it that is not conceptual. It's a physical sculpture. It's not a conceptual sculpture. And this is very important regarding the law improvement, because this is when forest art creates law art, and when the forest itself become an object, exactly with the Park of Sintra, for instance. So yes, thinking about the Park of Sintra, we are building our future together, because those millionaires were doing that only for their house in this little mountain. And now this little mountain is giving a lot of rain to Lisbon. It's giving a lot of microclimate to the region. So yeah, it can be something more democratized if any owner will develop in their own space a sculpture made of this interactive forest, because the forest can have an interaction with the climate. But this is, yeah. For now, we'll focus the presentation of flow art. A little quick introduction about law, the different sources of law. So you have the statute law, so it's all what is written, the constitution from the contract. When we sign a contract, it's also considered as statute law. Of course, you have also the hierarchy of the norms on the statute law. So this is very important, because we are going to play with this hierarchy of the norms in this project. Then you have the justice, and then you have the doctrine. The doctrine means the PhDs, and you have the customs. And I'm questioning what if art could be a creator of law. And I'm inspired by this very interesting book that you should like, John, because it's really, you are doing, because John Dubuffet is talking about asphyxiant culture. In a way, he's criticizing this society that is instrumentalizing artists. The society that is taking the message of the artist to make it a flag for propaganda or for his own culture, and changing the very essence of what the artist is showing. For instance, Marcel Duchamp is saying himself that we shouldn't do too much ready-mades. And France is really promoting the art of ready-made as a Marcel Duchamp art of a tradition, and it's killing the message of Marcel Duchamp itself. And asphyxiant culture is really talking about this phenomenon when the culture is instrumentalizing the work of the artist. And this is why the Convention Berne 1886 is really crucial for this phenomenon, because once an art become a culture, then the culture become patrimony. And yeah, in my proposition, yeah. Sorry, I don't hear you. I don't hear you.
Alan, you said here that it was a convention in Bern, Switzerland.
No, yeah.
1886.
Yeah, it's on the image. You see, it's writing on the.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. But 175 sovereignties, 175 countries around the world.
Yeah. What I mean by states is sovereignty. It's not. It's like America is one. United States of America is one. Brazil is one. And the meaning of this convention is like a state is a culture. Hollywood movies is American states, United States. Bossa Nova would be Brazil. From pain au chocolat to I don't know, the vase of Ming. The culture is really the artifact of mass manipulation of the state. It's really what's creating this population and this citizenship. And so basically the artist is creating art, then the culture of the state is instrumentalizing it, saying it's a French artist, it's an American artist, it's etc. And then it becoming an artifact for mass manipulation and for unity of a country. And so this is why art is very protected. And this is why every artist and every proposition of art once they became a bit famous, once they are by the audience, once they go in the museum, when they go in the university, any matter they get famous, they theoretically get in the protection of this convention ban, which is mean it's obliged any state to protect them. So for instance, the United States of America, the country of the United States of America is obliged by constitutional law, by this convention ban, to protect art piece created in America, both in America or staying in America. If you buy a painting from Renaissance and you exhibit it in an American museum and then suddenly you destroy it, you will be accountable and responsible regarding this Berne Convention for destroying this patrimony of Italy or of France or whichever patrimony you're destroying. So it's a bit tricky. It's a foundation. Nobody will leave this treaty, and it has a reality in the Buren case. So it's very interesting to see what's happened in Paris. In the 80s, I think it's, sorry, I don't remember. I think it's, in 1986. So you have this very big scandal in France because you have the La Cour Royale, who is a very old building, and there were this installation of an artist, Buren, who started to make this land art piece on the site of the Palais Royal. And the neighborhood really complained that he was destroying Palais Royal aesthetic, blah, blah, blah. So there were a case against him, and they asked him to destroy the art piece. So, and the François Léotard, who was the minister of the time, he said, I cannot destroy the Buren art piece because of the Convention Berne 1986 and the moral rights, and it's illegal for me to destroy a work of art. And when you think about Banksy is using that every day. It's like, he's not even charged because he's painting on property. Is inventing another story about it. The sad example of Paris will be the trial of the Seine. It's a sad story, but it really helps you to understand how the level of irony we are reaching. It's like Paris, the city council, the city hall, have forbidden the car to drive along the river. So they have cut the road along the river Seine for the cars. So there were a big trial because the car driver wanted to still use their car in this part of the city. And the argument number one of the city hall was to talk about particles that were killing over 6,000 children a year in Paris. So they were arguing with the health of people, of for public reasons, for health issues, they were closing this street. And it was not enough for the coach. The coach rejected the argument. And then Paris came with a second argument. And it said, okay, but it destroyed the Palace of the Louvre, it destroyed the camera, the city hall, it destroyed all the River Seine is full of historical monuments, and it cost a lot of money to clean them, and so it destroyed the buildings and the patrimony. So they win. The tribunal allowed the city hall to keep the River Seine shut to cars. So it means the Tribunal of France give more priority to the building than to the 6,000 babies dying every year. This is the society we're living because we are giving more importance to our buildings, to our masters of history, than to our own nature, our own life, our own babies. So by the new art piece here is signing a new contract with the audience. It's signing. It's a bit hard to talk with an owner and telling him, you're going to sell me your incapacity in your land. So it's basically the person will decide in his land a perimeter, and he will give this perimeter to the forest, meaning he cannot cut anymore, he cannot use the wood anymore, he doesn't have any more property, full property in the land. So he's still the owner like a painting, but he cannot destroy the painting. So it's a limit of his own right of property, and it's the exception of art, because when you buy a castle, you cannot destroy a castle. So it's a limit of your own right of property. The power of art, that is why it's possible to do law art, is depending on the need of the state to create culture. So it's give it a lot of power, but it's also it's depending on this agreement, on this contract.
So Alan, I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So just to recap, you're saying that with the protection of this law, okay?
Yeah.
From the Convention of Berne, that we can take a piece of land that we own and declare it as an artwork.
Yeah, no, you cannot declare a work of art. It's not, you can declare it, say someone have done it actually, but you have to make a book. You have to make sure your place is famous. Or what you can do, if you can buy a sculpture to an artist.
Sell.
So you will ask to an artist to draw a limit in your land, and you will make a contract with him where you buy to him a sculpture that is defined in the object 1 as a forest, limited with, you have a map. So this is a drawing, it's not the real contract, because after you have to go in this very legal way of presenting the contract. This is a drawing announcing your contract.
In a practical way, Sally Harris has some land in Minnesota.
Yes.
And let's say that she wants to do this.
Okay, so
and her daughter is an artist.
Yes.
What happens?
Yeah, this is what I'm developing in the PhD basically. So I'm selling to an owner a limit in his land. So I'm studying the type of the forest he wants, the type of the limit he wants. It's a conversation with the owner. And so once I have the limit, we have a map, and then I'm writing a contract with the owner. And this is what I have to develop in the PhD, because we cannot go against constitutional law, and you cannot alienate property. Property is inalienable. It's a human right perspective. So what you have to do is to make a contract where you define the piece of art as a sculpture. So you really buy a sculpture. It's as simple as this. You have to buy a sculpture to an artist that already do sculpture, that already have this kind of visibility, and you have a contract and a payment for it. Because the judge, it's only a matter of the judge what the judge will believe or not. And what do you think the judge believes? The judge will believe in the statute laws. Oh man, where is it? The source of the law. So the judge will look at statute law, he will look at justice, doctrine, and custom to decide. And the statute law will be your contract. If you want to buy a sculpture that is made of forest, this is your right.
And does that mean throughout history, forever, until ever, that artwork forest declared space is protected?
It's creating two things, okay? It's creating first the existence of forest as sculpture. And so it's becoming a cultural, because for instance, you will make exhibition of the sculpture. When you sell it, it will become in a collection. Some of them will be famous, some of them will be advertised. So it's creating a new culture by considering the forest as a sculpture. And second, if once a culture is created, then the piece is there and you have proof about it. What's important is for the future, right? It's not for now. But for now, it could work, actually, in theory. But you have to remember that we are talking about legal issues. And you have to remember that there is a law, a very old law, that forbids anyone to kill anyone. It's one of the most oldest laws in humanity. And how many murders still today? So the law is not the guarantee of everything, of course. But so this proposition is to play with the instrument of the society, to heal the society, not to fight against it. So it's not like I want to destroy the right of property. I want to heal the right of property. And I want to create spaces that are property that we cannot destroy, exactly as a normal artist.
So what are your obstacles? What are your challenges to make this opportunity accessible?
I have to make a meeting with biologists to help me to define a forest in the object of the sculpture. And I have to make meetings with lawyers to be precise in the model of the contract. And because I'm dealing with an international convention, actually it's going to be more easy for the lawyers to work on an international model for a contract. So a model that would fit for Europe and for the US or for China, because China have signed this treaty also, and they really like this treaty actually, because it's protecting their culture too. So I think it's just a matter of once I will have this model of contract, I think this model can be repeated for a lot of situations, rather for the bees. Imagine some artists work with some special bees in a place, they could consider them as an artwork. And if the humanity doesn't understand anything else than art, we can also consider a region could be art.
So what are the practical problems that you're facing to allow me or Emily or another artist, Marriott, for example, Cheryl, how can we become part of this? How can we participate? What needs to happen?
If you want to do forest artists, just be one. Let's do your things and we share. And I don't know. For now, I have really practical issues with the funding of my PhD.
Yes.
So I don't know. And this PhD will help me to define this contract and to define this practice of sculpting this area. I like to work with Miguel Costa. I'm looking forward for it because as an architect, he also think about rewilding some space in the city, for instance, for flowers. and this low art could also serve those kind of strategy in the city to once you sell the city a sculpture, the city promote the sculpture she bought and she respected as such, and she involved technical solution to protect the piece. So yeah, it can be also even as a suggestion area, like if everybody, like in St. Louis, where everybody we give tree to people and people plant trees in their land. And for the PhD development in this zone, I propose to every owner to sell for €1 the definition of their sculpture of a piece of their land, but we help them to rewild their forests. So I'm looking also for money for this whole neighborhood area for trees, to buy trees. So I'm applying for funding to buy trees there and to distribute trees. And the strategy worked really well because it's really create a collective culture. So this is a very interesting thing to do if you want to develop the culture of forest art, is to invite owner to plant trees that rewild in their land. So it's a first step maybe you can do in a area. So I'm trying to develop that with Rosekill, the gallery of Grace exhibition space in Manhattan, and they have a residence Rosekill in New York State, and they want to do this protocol we are doing in St. Louis. So basically the first step, we offer trees to people. So we're looking for trees, we look for grants, and we offer trees to people, and then we get in contact with owners who have a wish to rewild their land with this method. And then when we have in contact with this owner who have a wish to rewild their land, we can offer them option whether have more trees, so I'm still candidating for more trees, or whether having a zone defining the forest they are planting as a sculpture. And they are planting their own sculpture actually, you know. And so I'm a curator in this story. So we are thinking of different model where I am the artist and I'm selling the lines, or a model where another artist is drawing the line of the forest or defining what's inside it. Or a situation where we don't touch anything and except making a line with biologists who want to do rewild, because it's some project sometimes they want to touch nothing and let the soil creating a normal forest by itself. So it's trying to adapt to the need of everybody. So in that sense, it's really a forest embassy. It's like I don't try to plant a forest in my land. I want you to plant a forest in your land. I'm sharing my method, so maybe I'm sharing my method, and I'm also giving trees to people, and I think I'm showing we should do that, like from the collecting of the seeds to create a community of interest of rewilding. So in that sense, I'm trying to awake the wild men, the wild kind, the wild woman. So the wild kind is a very interesting figure from the Occidental society that have disappeared in the same time of colonization. So basically, it's not only the indigenous of outer Europe that have been colonized, it's also the indigenous inside Europe that have been colonized. Because what happened during colonization is a very big wave of deforestation over Europe, because they kill all the forests of Peninsula Iberica, for instance, to build boats, to invade the world, as you know, and to kill more indigenous and to kill more forests. So basically, the indigenous that was there, the women of the wood, the witches, the people of the wood, the families who were often associated whether from this figure of the wild man that is a poet or an artist, or whether of the figure of a gangster or a bad, uncivilized person. So I'm trying to awake this figure of the wild kinds. I'm working, for instance, now with my sister, who is a graphic designer, on a little baby for kids, like little stories where the wild kind is visiting a garden, some kids. I'm working also in this performance with this gallery, Grace and Alex Romania, how we could wake this wild man and this forest ambassador, how we could incarnate this talk of nature, this talk of the bird, this talk of so yeah, I'm finishing with this figure because for me I'm tired of this dichotomy of
So I beg your pardon, Alan. We want to keep the show open for people to ask you some questions,
yeah,
and then
thanks, Phil.
to enable people to remain in contact with you directly. So can you shut down your screen share?
Yeah.
And we will
It's perfect
return.
at the time then. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so please, I know that so much intelligent thought is coming from people on the broadcast now, and perhaps somebody would like to ask Alan a question or make a comment generally. Please just hold up your hand and we'll ask you to present something. Thank you. Yeah, I know, Marriott. Okay, thank you. Okay, Marriott, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, I'm so engaged with this whole conversation. It's mind-blowing, Alan. Thank you so much. Thank you, John and Emily. A couple of questions. Are you working with people who are already legally working on the rights of nature or ecocide? That's one question. And another is, I see an amazing, kind of opportunity to protect huge regions of forest area like the Amazon. I'm seeing the Amazon as a work of art, and we already see it as the lungs of the world, right? And so it's not such a far out, concept. Possibly, working with the UN on declaring that the Amazon is a work of art and we should protect it as such. I have a lot of questions, but I would really like to help you in any way I can, as an artist and as an environmental activist. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. I have a talk with the UNESCO, with a person working in the UNESCO for advices, and I would like to make a stay, like a little time there to see that question. It's true that once we have defined the forest as a work of art, we can only recognize the indigenous artists, and so the forest is an artifact of their own artwork. So yeah, legally it can. I think I'm sorry, I don't remember the first question because it's this question of the Amazon. It's really blowing my mind, and I could talk a lot about this. But it's true that what the advice they gave me at the UNESCO is that for now you have to finish the PhD. You have to make sure you have this community of forest artists. And you have to put also in perspective collaboration with indigenous that also consider art involvement in because it's really cool. The definition, the law, the question of the law. Indeed, no, I don't want to I'm not using the law of environment, and you know why? It's because it's not constitutional, because of hierarchy of the norms. And because there is no international treaty signed for environmental law, but there is this convention, Ben. You see the artist that is using art law, because art law is more protected than ecological law. And so it's a bit a denunciation. In the artwork is denouncing a social phenomenon. What I'm denouncing this absurdity of our society where we protect our work of art more than our nature. And so if we protect our work of art more than our nature, then look, let's make nature a work of art. And so this is a bit how I respond to this irony. I've studied law at the master level. I did comparative study of law of intellectual property, and it's more easy and clear to work in a field where you have constitutional law of your field, when you have a treaty, when you have a hierarchy in the decisions. And when you go in ecological law, it's a mess. It's very local things. It depends. You have this that is dependent on something else. It can be changed. A president can take over. It's only little engagement and little engagement, but not so bounding. And so what's important is what is bounding. That is why I'm talking of a contract of a sculpture, selling a sculpture, depending on one of the most protective laws that is existing, because it's a sculpture. It's not anymore nature. So it's sad. It's sad that we have to make artificial nature, to love nature again. But this is how we work. This is a function of art, and also somehow to translate this nature in an artificial artifact, in an artificial thing for you, for the public, for the audience to understand. So it's like, yeah, it's a bit a tricky situation. It's almost a joke. I'm almost, kidding the system somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
I cannot go in the door.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I cannot.
It's ironic, and it's amazing that we have to do it this way, but let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's
Thank
give
you
it a
so
try.
much.
I mean, if you cannot get in a party with the front door, you can always take the kitchen side and enjoying the party.
I want to welcome our friend Mary Kaplan, who's here behind the screen, saying hello at this question and answer period in our program. Does anybody else have something to contribute or ask?
Cheryl.
Hi, Alan. So I have a couple questions. Like one, I understand that you started with painting. Is that your?
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I'm fascinated about, because I love seed pods. I have always been very drawn to them. And I had a walk. I live in New York City, but we have a cottage on a lake upstate. And the milkweed pods are bursting open now, which are just, I love them. They're beautiful. And I love that they, the whole monarch butterfly that they support. And what do you do with your seeds when you put them in your pocket? Do you incorporate them into paintings, or what do you do with them?
I seed them. I plant them.
Oh, you plant them.
It's very basic, but it's like, with Cultivamos Cultura, they did this collective project where we were all talking about the trip of the seeds. It's like the seed is in my pocket, so if I see a good one, I will take it naturally, and she will make the trip with me. And if I see a good spot where the tree can grow, sometimes you have no building and you can plant trees there. And a part of them, for instance, I did a big collect last week, and I want to plant them in Saint Louis, in lands of friends, in lands of owners. I will spread them. So I have different type of action regarding the seeds. Mm-hmm. what I've tried to do with as a very more plastic, to respond to what a more plastic work, it was to try to develop the dragon, some creature of nature made of compost, made of wood, glue with flour and water. And the project was a bit educative for children. It's like once you put the dragon in the nature, then it's grow, then the seeds will grow, the eyes will become plants. And so, but it's true that I like to use organic material to create those type of forest form, like the dragon or the wild man, or the as a play that I want to make with the child, with the children's. I really want to go pop in this art proposition. When I'm saying forest is art, I'm competing on the Raoul. Business is art. It's over now. It's forest is art. So I want to reach this young audience. I want to reach this global audience as much as because I disagree with this elitist of contemporary art, where it's very intellectual. I can be very intellectual too, of course. It's a diplomatic protocol, so I have to seduce an argument in every type of level, and every in this fragile poetry of making a beautiful draw. So yeah, I don't know if I answer, but yeah, the seed. Yes. I really encourage you to do that. If you take some seeds and to spray them. My aunt is doing this monarch. She's planting also the flowers for the monarch, and she's helping the monarch to pass by Maryland. And I think it's very interesting, all those people in America being conscious about this trip of the monarch from Mexico to Canada, and helping planting those flowers and having some monarch visiting them on the way. This is a beautiful collective art piece, I must say. This is culture. This is culture. This is a phenomenon culture between three states. It's Mexico, United States, and Canada. And some people talk about it like you have that in New York. It's beautiful. It's art. It's a new culture coming up.
So thank you, Alain and Cheryl and Mariette, for your comments again. And Ron, did you have anything you wanted to add, or Miguel?
I do. The question may be more involved than we have time for, but I just spent last weekend with a group of theater scholars and artists from around the world talking about theater and censorship. And for many of these individuals, they now see that art form as addressing, as being very subversive, and being active in a world that needs a kind of theater culture or conversation that is outside the marketplace and what we normally associate with the theater. So my question is there a subversive quality in your work, Alan? And if you see that, if it's there, how do you manage that?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by subversive quality. Do you mean going out of the...
There's always a group of individuals who feel threatened by what is being done in the arts, whether it's a political party or an administrative group. And it's often a power struggle between what the artists want to do and what the artists are
It's true. It's complicated to be understood in the university, for instance. My experience in the University of Porto, you really have the people who understand you twice away, and you really have the people who don't understand you and who you have people who consider you are dumb, or they are totally hermetic of your propositions. And I think it's interesting because it's challenging you to, this is your work. You have to you are, some people are very format vision. They will find ridiculous the concept of the intelligence of the plant. Some people have advised me to not talk too much of the shamanic part of my work, but talk more about the low art part and the UNESCO meeting or stuff like that. Some people will tell me to be not so freak. It's you, when you are an artist, you have always this type of moment where you have, it's interesting to go in the very official context because you are doing a very important job there, but it's so you also need to be in the reality. I need to be in the Bohemia. I need to be in my community. I need to go in the country, and I think the artists, we have the opportunity and the luck to have a dinner with a millionaire, and the next day to have a friend who is asking money in the street, and enjoying the both moment for the same quality of human being. So I don't know what, I feel it's hard to innovate always. Or in this, I don't like innovate, but I mean to put in perspective new concept. It's hard, yes.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
If you excuse me for the moment, if you're not subversive, you don't belong on this show. And artists are dangerous people because they challenge conventional, structures, formats, concepts of
Yeah,
self.
we have to remember if we succeed, it's just a stage of moment, because we are subversive now, but if, for instance, tomorrow the forest art is becoming very popular, we're not going to be that subversive anymore. Yeah. So you are subversive. To be subversive is just to be a bit the part of the front people who explore the idea that is need for their time.
So for the conventional understanding of the word subversive, what listen to this. What is subversive?
Here's some information.
Subversion refers to a process by which the values and principles of a system in place are contradicted or reversed in an attempt to transform the established social order and its structures of power, authority, hierarchy, and social norms. Subversion can be described as an attack on the public morale. The will to resist intervention are the products of combined political and social or class loyalties, which are usually attached to national symbols. Furthermore, a subversive is something or someone carrying the potential for some degree of subversion. Satire is one of the most potent forms of subversion for artists and comics, and it can take shape in films, television, books, and even political protest. Not a bad thing. Anyway,
no.
Helen, maybe you can share with us your email information and website into the chat. And we are extremely grateful for this opportunity to be with all of you. Emily and I are more than honored. We're broadcasting today from our usual studio, a French studio with Northern Light on the top floor at 41 Union Square, the studio of Andrew French, our dear.
And why it's French? Why it's a French studio?
Because that is his name.
Okay.
And he's right here. He's right here. He's just on the other side of the laptop here.
Okay, nice.
There he is. There he is.
Oh, nice.
French. He's all French.
All French.
Oui. Alors,
Okay.
tout à l'heure. Et merci, merci très bien. Génial. Et merci beaucoup. Alan,
Thank you very much.
we are honored.
Thank you, me too. Maybe I react strangely to this subversive word because I want to be a diplomat and I don't believe in enemies. And I think we can embrace this new art together. And it's just, I'm just doing the job of an artist, announcing a new art. It's very classic of me.
There's nothing you can do about it, Alan.
And under my question, just quickly, it was a question about your strategy to manage that, which is always interesting to me.
Sure.
How artists deal. I agree with you, John. All art is subversive in one way or another, but it's the strategies that we pull together that fascinate.
Listen, Ron. The most subversive artist is the one that isn't recognized as subversive.
Right.
But they're doing it.
Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
All best. Good night.
Very much. Yeah. Do not hesitate to talk to me, to ask me any question, and to come. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Tuning Fork, setting the tone for cultural activism through weekly encounters with cultural activists worldwide. Live on ICAI, Institute for Cultural Activism International.